What's up, guys, and welcome back to the South America Challenge. It's Game 2 between Pain and Swag. Currently, Pain holding a one-game advantage in the series. It was a game that was abruptly ended after one massive team fight. That's just sometimes how it goes. And, well, we'll see if Swag are able to bring it back. Even if they don't, even if they drop 2-0, they're going to still have a chance to get to the grand finals, but it's going to be tough. Pain are a real team. I'm Mikelorus, going to be joined by GrandisV for this here Game 2, and we see a lot of support hate all of a sudden in the bans.
Yeah, definitely so. For the first time in a long time, we don't see Troll, Jug, or Axe banned out in the first stage, which is close to unheard of. Left in the pool, Troll Warlord is going to be the first pick for Swag, and already the rest of the draft has gone through very quickly, with Pain Gaming picking up the Shadow Fiend and the Earthshaker is there for his 2, and Queen of Pain will follow up the Troll for Swag.
Well, Earthshaker was definitely banned out first last game. I don't know if Shadow Fiend was. I think he might have been. He was definitely banned last game, but Pain are more than happy to grab that combo up. It's a pretty nice combination in that it's very defensive. You use your Shaker just to make sure your Shadow Fiend doesn't die, and then use your Shadow Fiend to kill everyone. If a Fissure does land 2 raises, then it's a very easy kill onto the likes of Queen of Pain. Kind of weird to see that Axe completely ignored, and I'm pretty sure if Swag don't ban it out here, then Pain are just going to snatch that one up.
For sure. I don't think there's a good reason to ignore it, but as you were talking about a little bit earlier, even if one of these teams does lose, they're not out of it, but they'll both definitely want to win. Is whoever takes this best of 3 is put directly into the finals, so it's definitely a lot easier than coming through the winner of Union Gaming and Isris Gaming, which is definitely a lot harder than already getting that guaranteed spot. Clockwork and Skyrath Mage going to be our second stage of bans from Pain Gaming and Swag, respectively.
Well, looks like Initiation is getting quite the hit here from Pain. Io, Batrider, Clockwork, all heroes that can start fights at quite sizable ranges as well, and it does make sense to ban out these types of heroes when you're planning on picking up a Shadow Fiend. He dies most of the time when he gets jumped on, and if Pain decide to get rid of a Storm Spirit right now or involve the Storm Spirit in their own game somehow, then that would just ensure the safety of Shadow Fiend a little bit more. Queen of Pain can blink in and can assassinate the Shadow Fiend at times, but those times are very few and far between, as if she's unable to burst down the Shadow Fiend, she probably will not win the ensuing man fight. You can't really beat a Shadow Fiend in a heads-up fight as a Queen of Pain after you drop your payload. It's very difficult from there on out, but for Swag, they actually grabbed the Queen of Pain very early, and they're going to take out both the Lion and the Skywrath so as to protect that Queen of Pain. But it's definitely not too late for Pain to grab a lot more disables.
For sure. Something like a Disruptor or Rubik could be really nice for Pain Gaming. Just a very quick silence or stun, depending on which one you go for. And it would also somewhat secure their Earthshaker if they pick up the Rubik. A hero that you generally don't want to be playing against as a Shaker, not because Rubik's necessarily very good, but because Fissure is just such an amazing spell that you don't want to be giving that away to the enemy team.
Yeah, just a little bit too much risk involved there, and it would be very defensive for Pain just to grab 2 supports that are mostly picked solely for their crowd control potential, but sometimes it's just what you need. If they were going to pick it up now, a tri-lane of Shaker, Rubik, Juggernaut will absolutely smash almost anyone. Like, you can't really do that much when you're stunned up for like 4 solid seconds, while a Juggernaut is either wailing on you or spinning on you. There are heroes with blinks that can escape that, although it will be very narrow if they do.
Yeah. Even though Rubik and Earthshaker do lack in the damage department, Juggernaut definitely doesn't. And for the time being, I don't think Pain Gaming really need to prioritize much more damage. Shadow Fiend and Juggernaut pretty much have that undercovers for their entire game, really, with the power of the raises early on as well as the Blade Fury, and then with the scaling right-clicks throughout the game. They're pretty much set. So definitely a premium on Initiation coming out later through. The Axe has been banned out, as has the Bat and the Clockwork, so there's not the greatest left for them.
Well, for now, Swag, they're going to be content with starting to grab some support heroes. Dazzle for them was pretty good to them in the last game. Many grave saves, and I don't exactly know how much healing he did, but it seemed like there were many times to get that done. No impressive heal bombs, but in this game with a Troll Warlord, that may very well change. It's definitely a hero that you want when you have a Queen of Pain and Troll Warlord on your side. If you're able to give those heroes a couple more seconds, they can either blink out to survive or turn around and kill the entire Pain Gaming side with lifesteal or something like that. So Dazzle pretty reasonable here for Swag, especially after last game's performance.
Yeah, I think so too. Witch Doctor is going to be the choice for Pain Gaming. Although his disables aren't necessarily the most reliable, this is going to be even more damage into the mix for Pain Gaming, and also Voodoo Restoration could buy some extra time for the Jug. The combination of having both Healing Word and Voodoo Restoration on the same team is pretty ridiculous, and maybe that's even enough to warrant an Ancient Apparition pick for Swag.
10 seconds
It wouldn't
remaining.
be too bad for them. It would make their lanes very awkward and very crowd control light.
5
It's not like they need a lot of crowd
remaining.
control right now, but it's not too late for Pain to switch up their lanes and grab a Storm Spirit, throw an offensive tri-lane down, and okay, they could also do that.
Dire team
It's not exactly going to be the crowd control hero that they might want to pick up, but who needs crowd control when you could just smash their faces in?
This is going to be an incredibly aggressive game from Swag, although sometimes you can sit back on a troll and just farm up, and Queen of Pain does
10
decently well in the late game
seconds
too. This Undying completely changes the flavor of their draft as a whole. They're going to ban out the Ancient Apparition last Pain Gaming, as that would have been a pretty nice hero to round out Swag's lineup, even more early game damage. Undying's a hero that we don't get to see very often, but he comes online so hard and so quickly that if Swag can get a try versus try or try versus dual lane situation for themselves, they could be in for a very scary game, Pain.
Pain should have their eyes open for Bristleback right now. The Tide Hunter was banned out so as to prevent the Undying zombies from being anchor smashed down in one blow, and I was actually going to suggest the Bristleback for Pain before they even picked up their Witch Doctor. They would have had a
10
ton of physical
seconds
damage,
remaining.
lots of minus armor, and therefore would have been able to get a lot of extra value
5
that way, but
seconds
they need,
remaining.
or they would really like to have someone who can clear out those zombies, because the zombie
Reserve
combination with the
time.
Shadow Wave is the real deal. And, well, they don't really have many tools to survive that except for healing, and that healing is very slow.
Yeah, and the burst damage coming out from his Shadow Wave when you have like 3 stacks of those zombies on you is ridiculous. Kind of akin to the Shadow Demon Dazzle combination I talked about in the first game's draft. It really
10
hurts
seconds
quite
remaining.
a lot and comes online very early. Last pickup for Pain is actually going to be a
Radiant
Nyx.
team pick.
Not sure if I'm in complete agreement with this, although it's going to give them a nice initiating hero to put towards the offlane. They really don't have any great answers for the Undying, except for CCing him and keeping him at arm's length, which is reasonable, I suppose.
Yeah, it's by no means a great counter, but it is a hero that will allow Pain to put aggression back on the Swag side. If you sit back and turtle up, it might work out sometimes, but at the same time, you're letting
10
the
seconds
opponents
remaining.
play the game that they want to play. And if you could very easily disrupt the
5
enemy's game
seconds
plan,
remaining.
no matter how small you do it, it's probably worth trying, just because if you disrupt their game plan, maybe the
Reserve
push
time.
comes 30 seconds later. Maybe that 30 seconds gives your Juggernaut time to grab a BKB or something like that. Who knows? But Nyx Assassin is a hero that can jank up the Swag's game plan a whole bunch. And if you're Queen of Pain, if you're Dazzle, you're going to have to be on the watch out for this bug, as with the burst potential of Nyx Assassin, Juggernaut's ultimate, and even Shadow Fiend's raises, Swag, though they do have survivability tools, just might not have the time to actually use those tools. They might not have time to blink out or throw a shallow grave on one of their friendlies.
That could be pretty risky. I do quite like Swag's lineup, all things considered. However, let's see how they're going to round it out. It's also not yet answered whether this Undying is going to be played as a core or as a support, and it looks like it's going to be played in the offlane, with Ogre Magi being the last pickup for Swag.
Oh man, if it wasn't already an aggressive lane, and it obviously was an aggressive game for Swag, now it sure as hell is. They have two heroes who are seemingly unkillable in the early stage, with Ogre Magi and Undying. The former had just having so much armor and so much health in the latter, with, you know, infinite scaling health with that decay. They're just going to charge down Pain Gaming, and Juggernaut, he may just have to get spin just so that he could survive all of that onslaught, and also so that he has a chance of actually doing any damage in return. Even though Pain Gaming, their Juggernaut, Shadow Fiend, these are heroes with high damage, I don't think they have high enough damage. They're going to need so much DPS, or they're going to need Swag to get overconfident and dive towers if Pain want to take some kills away from the Swag side.
It's not out of question, but Swag's lineup is going to be pretty scary. Let's see how they're going to put it together. Klotz22 is going to be playing on the Troll, followed by the Undying, played by Ned VSW on the Ogre, Zeus on the Queen of Pain, and last but not least, LMAO is going to be playing on the Dazzle as they look for a full 5-man rotation into the enemy woods.
They're going to perhaps be rotating into ADR, who's going to be handling the Juggernaut. They're going to throw HFN the way of the Shadow Fiend. Baga is going to be handling the Earthshaker support. Probably going to be playing very nomadically this game. King RD is on the Witch Doctor, and that leaves Tavo on the Nyx Assassin. Even though, you know, making this aggressive play for Swag is pretty nice, Juggernaut really isn't the one that Swag want to run into. A spin is going to keep him safe. 100% of the time, unless for some reason he gets trapped in trees, which also should not be happening.
Yeah, and that Juggernaut is going to survive for the time being. Although Swag are free to place whatever wards they'd want with this rotation, it's not going to give them the first blood that they really did want.
Well, this might give a little bit of extra intel towards the Pain side. They saw 2 heroes, the Ogre Magi and the Undying here, so they're going to know at the very least there's going to be an Undying lane up on top. Whether he's solo or whether he's with supports, they will just have to find out a little bit later, but now they're going to be a little bit more prepared for this. In fact, they're going to swap up the Nyx Assassin up to this top lane. It looks like Pain are more than okay with having the Nyx Assassin take the bullet for the team, as long as it means getting free farm for ADR, and up against the lane with Troll and Ogre Magi, I don't really know if that's going to be happening. The offensive tri-lane power of Pain is not terrible, but man, this is a terrifying lane from Swag. Just a Fire Blast into a charge at you strategy, and Pain, they're going to be on the retreat.
Yeah, it gets a lot scarier once you get like level 2 and 3 up for the Undying. 1 point in Decay, 2 points up in the Tombstone, and then once Ogre Magi gets access to both of his CC spells, they really are able to turn up the heat. But even now, this is really scary. The Nyx Assassin, for the most part, is going to be sacked. Maybe he'll be able to get a decent amount of experience, and he does have enough regen to stay in this lane for quite a long time. But I'm not sure it's going to be enough. It's really hard.
And the Nyx Assassin isn't really a amazing laner. He gets by in lanes by draining the mana out of his opposition. He has the carapace to sometimes keep him safe, but if 2 stacks of zombies get on the Nyx Assassin, then he has no way of effectively killing them off. He has no way of instantly getting out of there. He has no blink. He has no invis yet until he gets Vendetta. But yeah, the Nyx Assassin is going to be on the receiving end of quite the painful dual lane. He's going to be lucky in the fact that there's no hard CC here. If there was a stun here in any way, shape, or form, then the Nyx Assassin would be in hell right now. But it's still not the best lane for him.
No. Once they have Fire Blast, maybe they'll have that access to them. But yeah, Tavo, at the very least, he does get the lane in a pretty decent spot, since he did have some help from the Earthshaker. He opts for Mana Burn level 1. And although this is going to be annoying for the Undying, it's probably not the most efficient way for him to utilize his spells, and without access to Spike, Carapace, and Impale, he's very vulnerable.
You gotta do what you gotta do as Tavo. At least he's close, my god. He's close to his tier 1 tower, so he's going to get a little bit of experience. Getting to a level 3 mark so that he get a 1-1-1 build will keep him safe, or a lot safer than he otherwise would be. Of course, with this dual lane up towards top, it might dissolve for Swag, but they're going to be running a dual lane down towards bottom. Troll, Ogre Magi, probably scarier than the Juggernaut Witch Doctor, although the Cask Spin combo is dangerous. Oh, mid, Sood's going to jump straight to HFN. One Ray's going to whiff. Even if it hit, it wouldn't have mattered. Swag is going to draw first blood. Nobody expects the ganking Dazzle at level 1.
He didn't offer a lot to that gank, but still more than enough in order to get that kill. The Queen of Pain's already scary enough as is. Going to offer 2 points up in that Shadow Strike. For the time being, this Undying really isn't doing that much for Swag, since they haven't been able to match him up in any great spot to where he can really abuse his aggressive potential. He's been left 1v1 versus the Nyx.
And that's less than ideal. You generally want to have your Undyings be in a versus 3 scenario, and well, that's obviously not going to happen, as Pain are just going to have their Nyx up there. This is really good for the Nyx, since 1v1 is a lot better than anything else that could have possibly happened. But Undying, even though he's not up against 3 heroes from the get-go, having him get a little bit of farm, grabbing an early mech or something like that, and then starting to steamroll and teamfight very early on, is still a very potent threat that Pain will have to address. They have a little bit of time to get a little bit of farm so that they can address it with some items, but it's still going to be an underlying problem for their draft. Yeah, well, for the time being, Dazzle's really deep behind enemy lines. Looks like he wants a courier snipe, but unfortunately for him, that's not coming out yet. The Shadow Fiend is a little bit under-farmed, so his bottle isn't going to be flying out for any reasonable time. Almeida is going to get zoned out by the Earthshaker, and that's not happening. Dazzle will resume his previous position. HFN just short on mana to kill off Soods. He used his raise, and Sood's playing a very delicate game over in the mid lane. 15 mana and he's dead. Or Baga coming in. Fissure, one right click. He's gonna survive. Blink away just in time. HFN had to close a little bit of distance there to get that right click in. And Queen of Pain is going to dodge a bullet. But, man, yes, that was very, very close. Yeah, it was. Now that the bottle's out for the Queen of Pain with some heal support out from the Dazzle, Zeus is going to be able to stick inside this lane, but it's very easy to forget that. Inside bottom lane,
Cask is going to buy Witch Doctor a little bit more space. They're spinning down the Ogre Magi. Range Jackson is going to connect by the Troll, and nobody dies. Witch Doctor surviving on very low HP, about 20, and Ogre Magi, pretty similar story there. Both will live on double digits.
Mid lane, though, HFN is going to get jumped once again by the Dazzle, who's diving in tower. He doesn't have any mana for raises. He's going to try to get a tower kill on Alamo. It will actually happen. Shadow Fiend gets something for his troubles, but once again in a 2v1 scenario, still he does not have a bottle. No, he actually does. He bought it up right before he died, so that could have been disastrous for the Shadow Fiend, but instead it's just regular bad. With that bottle, he'll be able to turn things around, and the only reason that Swagger getting away with these ganks on that Shadow Fiend is because he's out of mana. Down towards bottom lane, though, Klotz is going to get a face full of Blade Fury. He will actually get a little bit of distance before that Blade Fury actually gets going. Klotz will probably die nonetheless, though. He has heals coming from Alamo. They don't have a grave here, but they'll turn around for King RD, and they'll get that killed. Now to ADR they go. Klotz is going to live. This Troll Warlord is very tanky with his starting build, both Ring of Protection and Stout Shield, not to mention Dazzle. Once again on the roam, and he is winning pretty much all the lanes that he goes to for his team.
Yeah, this Dazzle play has been pretty much on point, 2-1 and 2, and even though he gave up his life once to the Shadow Fiend, he's made a lot more space than that. Up towards top, Ned will eat a fissure, but does survive. The damage coming up from Tavo isn't theirs. He doesn't have mana to drop the Impel unless he wanted to commit stick charges, and even then it wasn't a guaranteed kill either way. Even after dying twice, the Shadow Fiend is actually, net worth-wise, comparable to the Queen of Pain, and is also CSing at a decent rate too. What he does like, however, is the experience, and Zeus is going to blink hard into the Shadow Fiend, fighting with the double damage rune. He can win this, especially with a heal bomb coming up from the Dazzle, stealing kill from long range.
And it's so rare that you see fights actually happen like that, where Queen of Pain just blinks in and very easily gets a kill. Shadow Fiend definitely feeling a little bit too comfortable with his bottle. Thought that, oh, if I push the creep wave out, then Soothes will be forced to back off and he won't jump in and kill me. But Queen of Pain has a lot of burst damage, especially with the DD rune up towards top. Tavo now is going to get hit with a little bit of CC. Ignite is there. Not enough mana for a Fire Blast, but there are 2 zombies on his ass. He does have sticks, but I don't think that's going to be enough. The Carapace will go up, turning around for a mana burn onto Ned, but he still has enough for a decay in just 1 more second. He will use that to get the kill on the bug. Here comes Baga. He can't really do much of anything. In fact, Ned has enough to actually turn things around and go ahead and kill Baga. Creepwave is coming in, though. He will try to back off, and a couple more punches from the Shake are not going to do it. It's 6-1 now for Swag, and all their lanes are just doing fantastically right now. The Undying probably a little bit slower than the rest of the lanes, but still it's doing really well.
Yeah, blinking in mid yet again. Zeus with the heal bomb is going to be able to turn to HFN. There's nothing that the Shadow Fiend can do, even without mana for the ultimate. He's going to be ticked down by the poison damage. Can he bottle up enough between these poison ticks? I don't think so. Best they can hope for is to deny. Next Assassin, not going to do it. Tavo asleep at the wheel, and Shadow Fiend dies to the Queen of Pain.
He didn't even try to bottle that last one out. Like, you at least spam your bottle 1 more time so that you get a pretty good read of the damage output. They're going to jump in for King RG, but this time Tavo's here with the Vendetta Impale. Mana Burn not quite going to do it. They will get the kill on the Queen of Pain after all is said and done, but Queen of Pain gets the kill before she dies. It's, you know, Queen of Pain for Witch Doctor. That trade, not the best for Swag, but at least they don't lose the Queen of Pain beforehand. And Tavo, he's pretty happy to get some Vendetta action going, but 8-2 now in Swag, they're still able to put some substantial pressure onto all of Pain's heroes, especially the Shadow Fiend, who 1-4-0 is not going to have a great time.
Yeah, even though they do get that Queen of Pain return kill, since the Shadow Fiend wasn't involved in that, I think that Swagger is still going to be okay with it, although it's less than ideal for sure. The Shadow Fiend has a long road to recovery, and cleaning up a couple of stacks is going to help. They've been prepared by his supports or by himself. Either way, he's going to get a nice infusion of gold here.
Top lane, they're going to drop a Tombstone for ADR. There's a pause there. I don't really think this is a puppy pause because Undying doesn't really have too much to kill off this Juggernaut. A spin will probably keep ADR safe. There is Soothes coming up towards top with smoke, so this Queen of Pain is going to be here very quickly. If ADR sticks around in the lane, then he may go down. He's going to instantly spin out that Poison Touch, and the Queen of Pain is actually going to run into Baga. Soothes might be happy to see that, although does miss the opportunity right now. He's going to instead circle around, looking for bigger fish to fry, and he's going to run to HFN. This is another kill for Soothes onto the Shadow Fiend. He will dodge a fissure with just a very short blink to the left. Now going for a little bit more. Baga's going to do his best to peel the Queen of Pain away from the Shadow Fiend, and it will be successful for now. Soothes has full mana, or full health rather, very high mana pool, will start to retreat, doesn't have a blink just yet. Could have maybe run to the Juggernaut there, but Juggernaut doesn't even have an Omni Slash right now. And HFN, like the entirety of Pain, need to babysit the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, even though the Queen of Pain doesn't directly get a kill there, she forces the Juggernaut to veer away from the creep wave as Undying pushes that tier 1. and the Nyx Assassin Earthshaker are constantly behind HFN, trying to make sure that he has a decent time. At the very least, he doesn't die. And, well, Troll is left alone with King RD. I don't think they know that the Nyx is there, per se, so the Troll can't dive the Witch Doctor by himself yet. But there is potential for action there. Impale, long range, going to miss onto Suze. Now the turnaround potential is there, although without the Sonic Wave, the Queen of Pain is going to decide against it.
Yeah, this time the Queen of Pain is going to show mercy, but once that Sonic Wave comes back up, she should be around the level 9 mark. So another point and blink hopefully will keep her safe, or at least that's the plan for her. Not getting a huge amount of items in this game. It's only 8 minutes in the game. She has power treads completed, and that's about it. But Suze is still going to get to a snowballing state very shortly, and a Queen of Pain with an Orchid or something like that can very quickly make short work out of the likes of Shadow Fiend and hell, anyone else on Pain. They're easy pickings as well. Up towards top ADR, he just wants some farm. He doesn't want to deal with any of these heroes, but there's no safe place to get farm. He's tried the bottom lane, didn't really work out for him. Now up towards top, there's an Ogre sitting right in his tower. You can't do anything but jungle at this point if you're ADR, and that's less than ideal to say the least.
Especially since the Shadow Fiend also relies very heavily on those jungle camps. There's a couple of spots where ADR can get that farm, but this Juggernaut's falling behind, and in a pretty big way too, with only halfway towards his phase boots in Aquila. Yeah, it really just needs a lot more time. Whereas Klotz, he has the luxury of farming both the lane and the woods. The Troll Warlord, just because of that, is going to slowly eke ahead, and maybe not so slowly either. VSW going to consistently zone out Juggernaut, force out a spin up towards top, and the status quo is looking pretty good for Swag.
Well, it's up to, I think, Nyx Assassin to try to break things out for Pain. He's the only hero who could actually go ahead and get kills on any of these Swag heroes. He's going to open up with a Vendetta over in mid. Impale's going to land with a Fissure there as well. Mana Burn not quite going to do it. Sude's going to live at 74 HP. That's Null Talisman Strength Treads value right there. Ignite onto Baga long range. Going to connect, but not really be follow-upable. Tavos, he has to make those attempts. Like, if they don't do that, then Pain are just going to quickly lose control of the map, and they will start bleeding out more and more heroes. So it's a necessary evil, but that's a hard kill to take. Up towards top, Ned is going to make the full dive commitment or up to ADR with the Flesh Golem active. He'll just lay the beat down onto the Juggernaut. There are 3 or 4 zombies there, and he's going to very easily take that solo kill. He'll also be willing to fight whoever's coming in. It's HFN. One Ray's landing. Second Ray's going to land as well, but here comes the Ogre. Now HFN is way out of his depth. He has a healing ward there, but it's only level 1, I think. It's definitely not enough. Ned's still surviving. He's going to circle around for Baga, who's already dropped very low to Alamau. Ned is going to get this kill healed up a little bit more from the Flesh Golem, and suddenly it's a 4-for-1 across the map. As Swag, they do lose their Troll Warlord, who was diving very deeply for someone, but still Undying gets to survive through all of that, and it's a huge amount of cash for him at the very least for the Swag side. They're going to be very happy with how this game is going.
Yeah, that's going to be a Yule Scepter build for Ned, and although losing the Troll is bad, and to the Nyx Assassin no less, Tavo's still miles away from getting a Blink Dagger up on this Nyx Assassin, and Swag's lineup looks to be ready to snowball and ready to start taking these fights, where Pain need more time to get the Shadow Fiend and Juggernaut to a point where they can actually be relevant in these engagements. At this point, the maxed out Tombstone is king. I don't think anything really trumps that, especially when you don't have a Bristleback or Tide on the enemy team.
Yeah, I don't even know if that would have helped out too much. If they did have a Bristleback who was doing about the same as the Nyx Assassin in this game, they would be in probably a similar situation, except they wouldn't really have any ganking potential. I do still think that the Nyx Assassin pick wasn't really a terrible one here, but it just seems like Pain are just lacking heroes right now. The Shadow Fiend had an abysmal time in the mid lane, and that's really where the Shaker needs to try to keep the Shadow Fiend alive, but there's only so much you could do there, so I'm not going to pin all the blame on Baga. It seems like Pain are... These are different players from the last game. It seems like their lanes just didn't go the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, which really does seem kind of odd after game number 1. A couple of raises is going to mop up the creep wave in mid, but then HFN might be punished for it. Shadow Strike when committed, he's incredibly slow at 183 movement speed, and they can't get anything on the turnaround. But at the very least, Swag forced out TPs for nothing more than Ignite and Blink mana.
That's not that much mana committed at all, since those TPs going towards the mid lane meant no one was going to TP down towards bottom. Klotz finally got his tower, and he's more than happy to just continue onwards with this push. So unless Pain decide to send 2 or 3 heroes down to the bottom lane, this tier 2 is going to take a lot of heat and might even fall. They can't afford to send heroes away from the mid lane, though, because Sude's his damage output along with this Ogre Magi is immense, and Well, Klotz and Ned, they'll fall back for now, but it's only a matter of time before the Swag side decide to go for a Roshan. It's going to be risky up against a Vendetta Nyx and up against an Omni Slash, but Klotz is getting to a point where he can do it, maybe not completely by himself, but with Dazzle, it should be a very easy clear.
Yeah, and he'll get very close to being able to do it by himself. With the Helm of Dominator and Yasha flying out, he can solo it, but is it worth the risk? I think that's the only question. He has a smoke as well, so they can do it very sneakily and safely too. They Dire have some vision around the Roshan pit, but smoke bypasses all of that. Swag are very aggressively positioned inside the mid lane, but don't find a target to go on immediately. But it looks like they want to take this tier 1 tower out just the same.
Well, they have a really big Undying right now. If you're not using him, you're wasting him. He's going to go for the wraparound. Ignite is going to light the bug up. Ned's going to drop a tombstone onto 2. Tavo's instantly going to go into that Vendetta. There is dust here, and are you kidding me? Well, you know, King RD is completely screwed. I think Tavo might be screwed as well. There is one zombie on him. We'll slow him down a little bit more. VSW should be able to close in for a Fire Blast. I want to say this is a double kill for Swag without losing anyone.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. At this point, the Witch Doctor, he might be able to throw it at Cask, but the damage is just too much. He's going to get right-click down. He's dead. Now they'll chase forward for the Nyx. And Ice Fissure is going to buy himself a little bit more space, but he has 2 zombies onto him. And the heal bomb with the Urn Tick is going to drop Tavo low. The Blink and Scream's going to secure the double. And now Baga also going to die. Triple kill for the Queen of Pain, and Swag coming away with a big victory. There's no other way to put it. HFN and Juggernaut are farming in the meantime.
They're going to smoke up to try to go to the Roche pit. I don't think they're going to be surprising anyone except for Roshan. But I was wrong. It was 3 kills, not just 2. Shaker. I mean, you do kind of have to throw the Fissure out in those types of circumstances. But up against a Blinking Queen of Pain with level 3 Blink nonetheless, you can't easily escape from that. Any trades in sight for Pain? Not really. HFN's actually going to get jumped by VSW, and this is actually a kill that Ogre Magi can take if he gets very lucky on his multicast. He won't, and he will back off, but HFN is below half HP, and here comes the Queen of Pain. Scream of Pain, not quite there. Instead decides for Shadow Strike, and you get the Scream of Pain out eventually. It's an Aegis and Roshan for Swag, plus an extra Shadow Fiend kill. This game is looking disastrous for Pain. I don't know what they can do to come back from this, except for hope for a miracle Echo Slam, hope for Tavo to get a couple more picks. He's going to find Klotz right now, open up with the Impale, but even if they kill him off once, he has a double life, and he has an Ogre Magi support incoming. They'll settle for the Aegis, and I think for Pain, that's all you can get.
Yeah, definitely so. It's a minor victory for them. They'll take anything they can get, but then again, it's also not slowing down the Trolls farm, and it's not slowing down the Queen of Pain either. She has a completed Orchid all the way ready, and looks like she's going to look for some pickoffs with it, but Klotz, with almost a full SNY, is ready to go to town. He almost gets a courier pick too, that was scouting out the Roshan and was just a couple damage short, and they blow a Death Word trying to stop the Roshan as well, as they drop that onto Klotz solo. With 22 armor when he's in melee form, their physical damage just doesn't feel like it's doing anything. Only 1 point in the presence of the Dark Lord hardly puts a dent into that.
And the Mask of Madness probably isn't going to help a whole lot either, since the Juggernaut might have a lot of attack speed, but he doesn't really have the damage to back that attack speed up. So that's a slow siege on this tier 2 tower. If anyone walks into this area, a Blink, Silence, or a Eul Scepter onto HFN, that could all get it done. He does have a Witch Doctor right next to him. Cass is going to get some pretty serious value here. Tombstone is on the deck though, and HFN has to retreat. The Fissure will separate the Swag side, so they can't effectively chase in, but they have the Euls up. Still 3 zombies are there. HFN's going to get soul ripped, and he will get earned. I think this is lethal. He'll try to bottle up this time. No one can deny him, but he will survive this time. But I mean, there was just a couple spells thrown by Swag. They use their Flesh Golem, not really high cooldown to really matter. They'd get the tower in the end, and that's really what they came to do.
And that's exactly what they do. Swag are prepped to look for more towers every time that they have that Tombstone up and ready to go. They can look for fights, and even without it, they're not without tools to take engagements. Undying going to walk into the Juggernaut, going to decay him once, and just say hello to ADR, but there's not really anything that he can do about that. Omni slashing the Undying is not a possibility, since he does have that Eul Scepter.
And even if he didn't, he could probably just eat that one up for breakfast and still walk on his very merry way. King RD is going to take a 2x multicast, soul rip down. He will die to something. Ogre Magi Ignite probably. Ned is going to have to drop the Tombstone in a less than ideal position to force the Juggernaut away. But really, again, they wanted the tower. They got the tower. Ned is still sticking around despite that. He still has earned charges if he needs it. Tombstone up in 50. He'll have the Yule Scepter mana regen, although he's just going to go back to base. It's 17-3, and Swagger just systematically dismantling the Pain side of the map. Tower after tower after tower, while at the same time getting more and more ahead in gold.
Yeah, and Pain, I'm not sure if they can actually shake this up. The Nyx Assassin, at this point, Blink and Pale is kind of nice, but they're just so far behind. And exactly how far, you might ask? 12,000 in the net worth, and for experience, it's not looking much better there. At about 8,000 advantage towards Swag's side. This is going to take a botched high ground push, I think, from Swag for Pain to really get back into this game.
And it's going to take a lot of work from Swag to actually mess up a push like that. They have to like walk in one at a time or get split by a fissure. Like, weird things have to happen if Pain are going to take a crushing fight. And at this point, getting a 2-for-1 for Pain, though they're going to be very happy to take it, is just not going to be good enough. They need a lot better than that if they're going to come back into this game and actually get into a position where they themselves can go back on the aggressive, because that'll keep them from not losing, but it'll definitely not let them win. Going for Klotz on the bottom lane might be a possibility, though. They have Tavo in a good position. They have ADR packing that Omni. Klotz is going to see Tavo coming in. Whirling Axis does go up. TPs come in as well. Klotz getting hit with the Maledict, and that's going to maybe do a little bit of damage. No, it's not even going to do that much, since, well, the backup is going to come in just in time. King RD TPing out ADR, same thing. Everyone's going to live here, but up towards top, ADR might not be as lucky. Tombstone was already dropped. Decay stacks. Earn. ADR is going to get soul ripped even. Has Baga coming in. Fissure is there, but you don't fight in the Tombstone. They can't afford to continue this chase. Ned is perhaps going a little bit too far, however. He's going to get impaled in a Death Ward, and that will be the Undying going down. Grave will keep him up for a little while longer, but definitely not long enough. They're also going to chase forward for this Dazzle, who's just going to try to hug the Tombstone as best he can, but that's going to time out. Shadow Fiend is going to kill steal that one from around the corner. It's 2 kills for Pain, and that's a start, I guess.
Yeah, it's much needed, though, especially if you look at the experience. Everybody involved getting about 600 or so. It's really important that they do get these extra bit of kills. Every little bit helps, and this is going to translate immediately into an Urn for Witch Doctor and a Soul Ring for the Earthshaker. Although it doesn't sound like much, this allows them to be able to stick in fights quite a bit longer. It's a step in the right direction, at the very least, although it doesn't get the game even close to their court yet.
They still need a lot more of those, and Swag, they are far ahead, so they're far enough ahead so that they can make a couple of mistakes like that and still be in complete control of the game. It has to involve Troll Warlord's death and Queen of Pain's death. That would really make things bad for the Swag side for a couple more seconds, but they're just going to get right back on the horse, apply more pressure. They're going to find Tavo in the river. He's silenced, he can't get anything off, and he will die to Soul Burn. Sood's not even going to look at that explosion once it occurs. The Mega Kill for the Queen of Pain is going to continue on farming, run into ADR. There is an Omni Slash here, or just a quick spin TP. There are no methods in the area for Swag to disrupt that. They have Troll Warlord with the Bash. That's not even guaranteed, but they get a kill on the Nyx Assassin, and because they don't have to worry about that bug anymore, might as well go for the last tier 2.
Yeah, their 5-man potential is just a little too much for Pain to contest into, and I think if they just drop the Tombstone, they'll be able to take the tier 2 tower, and even without it, they just drop the Battle Trance and go to town. Pain don't seem interested in defending the tier 2, and for good reason. They probably couldn't have anyway.
Well, at least for Pain, they might get a trade for the Fortify there, and if Swag actually wanted to defend this tower, they definitely would be able to. Just, you know, TP 2 heroes down here, and ADR and crew won't really be able to do that much. They're instead going to take the more aggressive play, seeing as though they are very far ahead, and they're going to try to break the high ground. They have Weave at level 1, which is reasonable. I think they do have enough power to do it. However, if they're going to lose Swag, or if they're going to lose this advantage, it's going to be off of a fight like this, where they're going up high ground before they're really truly ready.
Yeah, if they had the BKB on the Troll Warlord, I'd say that this is a lot safer for them, since they wouldn't have to deal with these Impales, Paralyzing Cask, and Fissure. A lot of disruptive spells coming out from Pain that they could potentially use to win a fight. Let's see how this goes down. The only one that's currently TPing out is Baga, and everybody else is still inside the Radiant Woods, and not at immediate
ADR
rate of
doesn't
fight.
have a TP for another 25.
That's actually
really
pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nyx Assassin, it's all on you, man. Shaker needs a good Fissure block. But throw it out and block a little bit, but the creep wave is still very alive because of the healing from Dazzle, and well, they're going to blink in for an Impale onto Klotz. Instantly, Tavo gets silenced. A little bit too late to save Klotz from that Impale damage, but the Juggernaut's still going, and Pain, actually do hold on. Swag, again, they're not really prepared to just bulldoze down a tower, not yet.
And Shadowfiend does have a double damage rune, so even if they're fighting without the Juggernaut, the SF's still going to be doing quite a lot of work. Dire potentially looking for a wraparound. Now that the troll is left, maybe they can find something. Queen of Pain bumps into the Earthshaker, however, and Bogget's going to get blown the hell up. Soulburn almost not going to be enough, but with one more auto attack, Suze will be able to secure that kill. Tavo going to stun off too, and then blink away with that Spike Carapace, but he blinks right now, Alameo with the poison touch. They'll be able to bring down the Nyx Assassin. Although the SF turns for a couple of raises, and King RD's there with the Voodoo Restoration, there's not near enough healing to keep them alive. Yule Scepter's going to buy SF a little bit more time, but it's only going to do that as he gets brought down into Suze and the rest of his team as they get an ultra kill for their Queen of Pain.
Oh, Queen of Pain teleports out like a chicken, doesn't want to go for the 5, but it's still a 4-0. Swag, that was a fight without their Troll Warlord being anywhere in the area, just eating up one after another, and first of all, that's never really the way you want to fight in a game of Dota, and second of all, when you're this far behind, it's the worst way to actually, it's the best way to lose the game, let's say. Like, you're giving the enemies an open door with which they can push in. Fortunately for Pain, Swag, they're not going to go straight for a high ground push. They're going to wait for Roshan, kind of a medium respawn timer there, but I really don't see Pain being able to crash this Roshan pit. They might be able to scout it out. They'll know about it. They'll be able to throw out fissures and slow it down and stuff, but they're not going to be able to win a Rosh pit fight, not at this point.
No, I don't think so, especially not without a Blink Dagger for the Earthshaker, which probably isn't going to come out this game, I want to say, unless Pain take a couple of really big fights, which probably isn't going to happen in the near future, at the very least. It's going to take a long time before they have that at their disposal. Roshan going to respawn, but it looks like Swag were just a little bit too fast in coming out of that pit in order to scout it out. It's going to be up in 5 seconds.
Well, Tavo is still in the area. Pain, the rest of Pain rather, they're not really in any position to make this play. Tavo's going to go for Soothes. He doesn't get the Vendetta hit, however. That means there's no kill potential there. He's going to do what damage he can. Soothes doesn't have a way of canceling that TP, but I guess there was no kill even if the Vendetta was to hit. ADR up towards top is going to get jumped by an Angry Ogre. Here comes Queen of Pain. And he's going to once again spin TP his way to freedom. But while the Juggernaut is doing that, while the rest of the Swag Hero is doing that, they're over in the Roshan pit. They're actually going to go for the Witch Doctor. Tombstone on the deck, and ADR is there right on top of Alamau. They're going to start channeling that ultimate. King RD going to take a lot of damage, but deliver just a little bit more. Zombie's still on the floor right now, and they're trying to fight into the Undying, but he's sitting in the Tombstone. He'll TP out Ned, and King RD going to survive. It's just a 1 kill on the Dazzle, but it's traded for Roshan. Bot's going to get walled off. Here comes the Requiem. No, never mind. He has a BKB, the Troll Warrior, so the Requiem won't do jack. ADR kind of close in, but he doesn't have an Omnislash available. It's a kill for Pain. I guess they should be happy about that, but they still end up on the lower half of that trade.
For sure. But then again, the Shadowfiend and Juggernaut are still getting their items, slowly but surely. ADR is going to be sitting on a completed Manta style, it looks like, and Shadowfiend's working towards that Black King bar, but this item for Swag is absolutely huge. Ogre Magi has managed to get himself an Aghanim Scepter, and as much as you can talk about Blink Daggers on supports, this item is ridiculous. If you can get a double multicast onto the SF before he gets his BKB, that's pretty much just his death.
It's a hell of a lot of damage. It's a level 2 multicast as well, so the chances for high numbers certainly very much so there. Looks like Swag, with that fresh Aegis on the Troll Warlord, are going to get right back up to the top lane and finish what they started previously. This time, Pain will actually have all their heroes available to defend, but at the same time, this time, Swag are a lot stronger, so I think probably last time was a better chance for them to defend. Impale onto Klotz is there. They're going to wall off Ned from the rest of the team. That's actually a nice opportunity there. Undying going to use himself, though. Death Ward being channeled. Sue's going to jump right in, do lots of damage. Requiem also not doing too much. King RD is going to drop Sonic Wave through onto HFN as well. Blink forward. Suze is going to collect a double at the very least. ADR is going to teleport right into a multicast, and he'll drop like a rock. That's 3-0 so far for Swag, and that has got to be game. Tavo's going to call it.
1-1, our score is Swag come back in a pretty big way. This aggressive draft worked wonders for them. They win pretty much all 3 of their lanes, and a lot of that's due to the Dazzle's early rotations. Although not thought of as the best aggressive roamer, he did a lot of work. And that Shadowfiend never got off of the ground, and the Juggernaut really didn't either. And at that point, Pain really were just hoping for a miraculous fight that never ended up happening.
Alright guys, that's going to be game 2 in the books. Swag going to take it over Pain. That means that this game, the best of 3, is going to go on to a game 3, which will be coming up in just a little bit. I'm Mikelorus. I've been joined by GrandisV for game 2, and we'll be right back, guys, for the third and final game of the night. Swag versus Pain will continue in just a bit.